I'm Suzanne. I'm the author of The Daily Bean. And here we are. We're at home, or at least we should be. And if there's one thing a global pandemic will tell you, is that we have to be aware of our health, our immune systems, which means eating right. And really, if you think about it, all of us have time right now. We have time to get creative in our cooking and healthy in our cooking. So we need a healthy attitude, we need a positive attitude, and just a good way to get through this. So I'm going to help you with the most perfect food on the planet right now, beans. Beans contain everything the average American diet is lacking: calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, the B complex, especially folic acid. All of these contribute to a healthy immune system. So we're going to have fun. We're going to go through this book. We're going to start with black beans, and we're going to start with Cuba. And we're going to make a Cuban black bean soup. There are so many variations of the Cuban black bean soup, it could have its own cookbook. But we're going to start with a slightly different, healthy, colorful version of that. So get out your pans, get out your pencils, and we're going to start. What you're going to need for this particular recipe is right here. We're going to need 2 cans of black beans. Black beans you want to rinse. You want to rinse any kind of bean you use. Usually the gas problems come from the liquid that the beans are floating in the can. So 1 cup of dry beans is equivalent to 2 cans of black beans. You're going to need 1/2 cup of chopped onions. You're going to need 1/2 cup of red peppers. Red peppers might be a little hard to find in the whole navigation process of the grocery stores right now, but you will always find the beans. So they have the smaller versions or the regular version. We're going to have 1/2 cup of chopped red peppers. We're going to have 2 tablespoons of finely chopped garlic, probably a teaspoon of oregano. We are going to have, for garnish, chopped tomatoes, sour cream. This will all come later. Fresh chopped green onions. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of lime juice. You're going to need 6 cups of a chicken broth or a vegetable broth if we're going all vegetarian here. And you're going to need just about 2 cups of finely chopped, shredded spinach, fresh spinach. So the first thing we're going to do is get a fairly good sized pot on that stove. We're going to take a little bit of a decent olive oil or not decent olive oil, doesn't really matter, just about a tablespoon in the bottom of the pan to heat up. We are then going to take the onions, add it to that pan, the red pepper, add it to that pan. And please remember that black beans have a love affair with onions and garlic. And that love affair can always be enhanced with a little bit of lime juice, a little bit of wine, a little bit more garlic. Get that garlic in there, that 2 tablespoons. Start to stir just until everything starts to get a little soft. Don't forget that just about a teaspoon of oregano. Fresh oregano would be immensely better, but again, we're dealing in a pandemic grocery store situation. So we're just going to stir that up. We want it to soften a little bit quicker. We're just going to put a little bit of this chicken broth in there just to stew it. We're going to stir, stir, stir. And give it maybe 5-10 minutes to become a little bit soft. You just want the onions to become a little transparent. It already smells incredible, but anything you do with garlic will smell incredible, as hopefully y'all know by now. So we're just going to stir. Then, as this starts to get a little bit soft, we are going to add the black beans to the onions and the red peppers and the garlic. And again, stir. This is a very easy put together. Total time on this will be maybe 30 minutes. It's going to be a hearty, hearty meal for your family and an extraordinarily healthy meal for your immune systems. So we'll just stir. And now we are going to add the chicken broth. So again, this is just about 6 cups of chicken or again vegetable broth. And we're going to pour that in. Now we're going to bring this to a boil. And we're going to let it simmer for just about 30 minutes. Okay, we've simmered. All these flavors have just melted into each other. So now we're going to want to thicken this up a little bit before we add the final group of flavors and textures. So if you have a food processor or a blender, this just takes a second. Or if you don't, you could take a potato masher and mash it. But we're going to use some of these beans to create a puree that's going to thicken this soup and just make it hearty and soulful. So I'm just going to take a couple of scoops. I might even take almost a third of what's in here and add it to the food processor. This is going to puree some of that red pepper up also and help that just mellow into the whole flavor of the soup. So all we're going to do here is just pulse it until it's blended. And then this is what's going to give the soup the thickness. So we're going to just add what we just took out right back. And there you go. You can almost see the color change, and it's becoming darker. It's pulling in the darkness of the shell of that bean. Okay, I'm going to give it a little bit more of a stir, and now we're going to add the ingredients that make it Cuban, that make it so real. So I'm going to take a lime. It calls for about 2 tablespoons of lime, which I'm thinking is just about half of this. Great way to get that freshness. Let's put that fork right in the middle, squeeze, and turn. You could use a lemon also. I'm just a believer that black beans and lime belong together. Stir that up. And now we're going to add what makes it really Cuban, a nice dark rum. It doesn't have to be a nice dark rum, just a dark rum. About 2 tablespoons. This is what's going to bring it into a richness, a deep, flavorful rich that you're not going to find in any other black bean soup. So now I'm going to take the spinach. This only takes a second. This is why we save this for last. This is baby spinach, so I just gave it a little bit of a chop. If you have full-grown spinach, you can just diagonally cut it. And we're going to just stir that into the soup. You could see the colors that went into this. The brilliantness of all those colors of all these vegetables are such an indication of health. So now we're just about ready. The spinach is wilting, and that's just about how long you're going to stir it for, which might even be 2 minutes. And I think that's just about ready. So we're going to bring it here and ladle it into this bowl. There we go. And this is where all of the other toppings come in. This is a nice fresh ripe tomato, which are kind of hard to find this time of year. We're just going to chop that, put that on top with a little dollop of sour cream. And then, if you're a fan of onions, just a little drab of onion on the top. No Cuban soup can go without Cuban bread. This one has to. Cuban bread is not to be found this week in a grocery store in Virginia. So this makes the ultimate dunking. And to completely round this out, just going to take an avocado, which there seems to be an abundance of for some reason in the grocery store. Too bad we can't say the same for toilet paper. And we're just going to put that on the side. A little bit of color, a little bit of flavor, and there you go. Cuban black bean soup. At least 14 grams of fiber, at least 21 grams of protein. What more can you ask for? There you go. So I look forward to sharing several more recipes in a series. We'll go through the beans, white beans, black beans, lentils, kidney beans. They're all in this book. We have desserts. Yes, desserts. We could make chocolate chip cookies for your children. They would never believe what they were really made of. Anyway, the book's available on Amazon. And the next recipe I think we'll be doing is staying with the black beans, a mango black bean salsa.